Hey guys, this is Pharaoh 2091, and welcome back to Let's Play 999. Last time we left off, we back in the hospital room, and it turns out that Ace, Clover, and Seven, especially Clover, wanted to check out what was behind door number 3, even though there was kind of no point in going there because it was going to loop back around, but she wanted to see if Snake was in there. And from what we saw from our last playthrough, he is in there, but she definitely does not want to see it, but, hey, whatever. And so the people left, Lotus and Santa checked out the Earth key area, I believe, and we checked out the Jupiter key, whatever. Well, we're in the elevator now, and we're on E deck. The elevator stopped and the door slid open. Oh, thank God, nothing bad. They stepped off and onto the floor outside the elevator. Nothing seemed especially unusual. No fish going about their fishy business or jellyfish floating lazily through the water. There was, however, a blowfish, or at least something that looked very much like one. June's cheeks were puffed out and her mouth a tiny, intense frown. Oh, knock it off. It's just like I thought. This part hasn't been flooded. Come on, just look around. There's no water here. June looked around nervously, then... Ha! Exhaled. Well, that kind of freaked me out. She just popped out of nowhere there. You're right. It's not flooded at all. See? But there's a whole lot of water. Yeah, right on top of us. What's going to happen if the ceiling breaks? Juby thought about that for a moment. We'd probably die. Oh no! Don't be so casual about something like that. At any rate, we should probably go back as soon as we can, once we've done looking around here. Lois and Santa might already be back. Excuse me. Okay. Good idea. Droopy glanced around the room they found themselves in. The first thing he noticed was a set of thick iron bars. They ran the length of the room, separating the left elevator from the right one. Well, we can't go back there. Right. Then perhaps... In the corner of the room that housed the elevators, Junpei found an opening. He walked up to it and struck his head around the corner. Door 6! A long, straight hallway stretched out in front of him. That door at the end of the hallway, there's something written on it. Yeah, let's go have a look. How can they not see it from here? Junpei and June set off down the hallway at a brisk clip, somewhere between a run and a jog. Okay. Maybe it's called a rog. That was a terrible. Before long, they found themselves in front of the door. And on it was a number written in bright red paint. 6. I knew it. This is a numbered door. And indeed, there was a red bolted to the wall right next to the door. Of course, with only 2 people, there wasn't much they could do with it. Alright, let's head back. Yes. Junpei and June turned and headed back to C deck. On their way back, Junpei noticed a map on the wall. As it turned out, it was a burnt map of the ship's interior for E deck. Okay, that's good, I guess. It might be proving useful. Huh. So you guys found door 1. They met back with Santa and Lotus, who had explained that what they found. Apparently, there was another number door in A deck, just like the one on E deck, beyond the door that the Earth key opened. According to Santa and Lotus, there was a 1 on that door. All told, they had discovered 2 new doors: the 6th door and the 1 door. It's interesting that E deck wasn't flooded. Lotus was quiet for a moment, lost in thought. We don't really don't know all of E deck is safe or not. We only checked the area around the elevator. Even so, it's still very interesting. You said a 6th door was there, right? Yeah. That means Zero planned all this out, even the sinking. That would mean that that meant some pretty serious remodeling to the ship's interior. It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it. Yeah. I wonder how long it took. I can't even imagine how much it must have cost. It would have been a ton, that's for sure. Well, that goes all along with what Ace was saying. The most reasonable explanation would be that this was done by some organization with access to a whole lot of cash. Yeah, it does make sense. That thought made them all go quiet for a moment. June bit her lip while Lotus sighed softly to herself, and Santa cracked a stiff neck and stared off into the distance at nothing. I don't think it's a very good idea to stay here. June looked up at Junpei with large, pleading eyes. Yeah, you're right. Ace and his team might be back already. Well, Junpei and I should be able to go open door 1. Huh? You guys leaving me behind? Well, 8, 6, and 5 equals 19. That equals 10, and that equals 1. Just kidding. Alright, let's go. Lois's words are all the impetus they needed. Back to the large hospital room they went. Oh god, I can't even imagine how Clover must be feeling right now. That's if they're back yet. The moment they stepped inside, a tremendous voice echoed across the room. Hey! Where the hell did you guys go? It was 7. Ace was right behind him, and Clover was behind Ace, although she seemed to be hanging back. It looked as though there was something strange about them. Yeah, I can only imagine why. 7 had the look of a man who'd seen a ghost. Ace was just as pale, and Clover looked as though she was almost only moments from passing out entirely. For a long moment, they simply stood there, looking at one another. Junpei looked around nervously, waiting for someone else to speak. No one did. He looked at 7. What happened? What the hell kind of a question is that? 7 was trying very hard to be angry, but something had shaken him hard. His shoulders were trembling, and his voice was strained. Snake is... 7 couldn't even finish. He just looked away, his face twisted by... Junpei wasn't sure what. Instead, Ace spoke. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and spoke. Snake is... dead. He died. Just as the Knife Man did. We all should have known this by now, but holy crap, it's still surprising. It was as if all the air had suddenly been sucked out of the room. Junpei felt his heartbeat quicken, and he realized he was having trouble breathing. He could feel cold sweat beading on his forehead and neck. June, Santa, Lois looked the way he felt. All three are frozen in place, their faces white. Oh my god! That's not true, is it? Come on, June. We should make sure. Yeah, right, we should. They nodded to one another and headed for the number 3 door. Wait! Not that way! They stopped short and turned to look at 7. He was pointing at the door of no number. I struck a screwdriver in there to keep the door from closing all the way. It's not locked, so you can go in that way. Where is he? The shower room, on the left side of the hallway. Put a broom in there too, so to keep the door open. We can get in without going through the number door, right? Yeah, that's right. Their new destination cleared, Junpei and his companions headed for the door of no number. Once in the hallway, it was easy to spot the metal door on the left wall. It hadn't been open when they had been through before. The music here just gets to me. Ugh. But now, just as 7 had said, there was a broom stuck between the door and the frame, keeping it open. They looked at it for a moment and stepped inside. Ugh, it smells horrible. Lois wrinkled her nose and covered her mouth in disgust. Even Santa pinched his nose shut. Yeah, this is pretty awful. I feel like I'm gonna puke. It was just as bad as they said, perhaps worse. A hideous smell filled the air, so thick they could almost taste it. It was sour and smelled of fish, feces, and burnt meat. Oh, that's a very... ew. It worked its way through Junpei's nose and down his throat to pound against the entrance to his stomach. He put his hands over his mouth and struggled to keep what little was in his stomach where it belonged. They didn't have to wonder where the body was. There was blood everywhere, a few arms of the splatters reaching toward them as they walked in through the door. All one had to do was follow the many radical arms to their source. The body itself was hidden behind a divider. June, you should stay here. But, please, just do me a favor, okay? Alright? He didn't give her a chance to say no. He put his hand on her shoulder as if to shove her into the ground like a tent pole, turned, and walked toward the end of the divider. It felt like it took an eternity for him to get there. Santa and Lotus followed, timid and nervous as a pair of children. No. Eventually they reached the divider. They looked at one another and nodded slowly. Jimmy put his hands on the divider and peered around the corner. For a moment he forgot to breathe. He felt his heart collapse in his chest like an empty cigarette carton, and time froze. He knew in that instant that he would take the image before him to the grave. God. What was left of the body sat in a sea of blood. Chunks of flesh torn from the body sat in the blood like a tiny islands in the Great Red Sea. Can I skip this? Oh yeah, we definitely read this before. Oh god, yeah, they're just totally going into this now. They didn't even change the description. They're calling it the same thing. It's chunks of meat, yellowish fat. just like Ace said. Santa's voice was strained. Junpei suspected he was holding down some vomit of his own. Just like the ninth man. The detonator in his breast had set off the bomb in his gut. It looked as though the explosion had been quite powerful. Yep, here we go once again. Odd, limbs pointing, bones sticking out. Half the head's probably going to be collapsed. Yep, right there. God. Raw pizza dough covered in cement. What the... Oh, God. And this is where we knew for sure it was Snake. We found out, like, all this stuff, and it's like, oh my God. They were all familiar to Junpei. No mistake about that. It's Snake. Melissa's voice was unnaturally deep and strained, and Junpei heard it catch in her throat. Oh, jeez. Well, we had to be sure, I guess. The squeal of tortured metal made Junpei's teeth curl. Oh, wait, look, skipping! Thank God. And this tells you, like, someone must have killed him. We've seen all this. If I can skip it, I'm gonna skip it. But I wonder where it's gonna stop, though. Oh, yeah. What did I say? Okay, well, let's say of course. Of course he was. That was obvious. Zero was somewhere on the ship, but Junpei had no idea where. Junpei mumbled to himself, lost in thought. Where could Zero be hiding? Yep, there you go. And... What? Oh, crap. Yeah, I'm just gonna put, well, that's crazy. I don't know. I totally forgot what the hell the question was. That's what happens when you skip stuff. Maybe I should have picked the other choice, but, screw it. Okay, keep going. There we go. New text. It sat, bolted in the wall near the stairs that led to the casino and the kitchen, between the two elevators. The Mercury key card reader. This is a card we found in the shower room, which led us down to the second door, door number 2, which gave us the bad ending, apparently. Or maybe just the events of what we did. I don't know. Junpei stood in front of it with the Mercury key card. Seven had given him the card. I found out while we were checking out the shower room. At least, that's what he said. Junpei slid the card through the reader, and the light on the reader turned green and made a tiny electric noise. Now they were ready. Junpei and June had been chosen as the investigators. The reason behind that, they had been the E-Deck before, and no one else had. As before, June set the elevator ahead to make sure the floor that they were heading to wasn't flooded. As before, the elevator returned as dry as when it had left. Once it had been checked for water, Junpei and June stepped into the elevator. And sure enough, as soon as they step out, they should see door number 2, right? I think that was all that was down there. There were only 2 floor buttons they could push. The C and bottom buttons. The rest were destroyed or did nothing when pushed. Junpei hit the bottom button. The door closed. Slowly, it began to move downward. Sometime later, Junpei and June stepped off the elevator and onto the bottom deck. They stepped off and sat and saw that the hallway to the right ended somewhere between 20 and 25 feet from them. The hallway in front of them was a dead end, but not a regular dead end, because they had door number 2 in it. This is a numbered door. This is the 8th one we found. There were 2 numbered doors in B deck near central staircase. There were doors 4 and 5. There were 3 more numbered doors in the large hospital room. Doors 3, 7, and 8. Junpei and June had found another door on E deck, and Lois and Santa had found the 7th on A deck. There was a 6 on the door on E deck and a 1 on the door on A deck. And now door 2 stood in front of them, so all we're missing is 9. There was only one thing that it meant. Do you think the next door we find? Yeah, I think so. The next one's gotta be door 9. Despite himself, Junpei felt excited. There was something about that excitement that frightened him as well. He did his best to put it from his mind and headed back to the C deck with June. Alright, let's open these up. The pieces of paper they folded lay on the ground next to Junpei's legs. There were 7 of them, all told. They were written on paper pulled from Junpei's notebook, and each one bore a code name on a door. Why did they decide to vote that way? They decided it wasn't fair to simply ask everyone at once. That would allow people to force others to go through certain doors. Well, that wasn't the only reason. Junpei had proposed a voting system. and he had a plan. It wasn't a plan he wanted anyone catching wind of, however, so he did his best to act calm as he began to open and read the pieces of paper. The first one read, Ace requested door 1. Yes, I do. Would you like to explain why? No, we don't have time for that, sorry. Let's keep going. He opened the second one. Next is Santa. He wants door 6. Yeah, that's what I wrote. Junpei continued with the third, fourth, and fifth pieces of paper. Clover wants 1, Lotus wants 2, and 7 also wants 2. Wait a minute! There's no way I'm gonna go anywhere with the Elephant Man! No, there'd be no point to the voting if we let people change their choices because of stuff like that. But, just give it up, Lotus. It's not like I want to hang out with some expeditionist grandma. I am not an expeditionist! I'm wearing clothes, barely. Exactly, 7. Good, yeah, there we go. So, last I checked, that's not a crime. Maybe, but what about common decency? Nobody wants to have to look at a chick who looks like a half-naked raisin. Oh, I'm going to kill you! And they're fighting, I think. Lotus's hair flared out like the mane of an angry lion. She roared with a voice that shook the walls. With some difficulty, Ace managed to restrain her. Junpei, read the rest! Right. Junpei tore his eyes away and looked down at the 6th piece of paper. He opened it. She wants door 6. Yeah, I don't really have a reason, I just felt like it. All the papers save Junpei's had been read. He did some quick calculations in his head. People who requested door 1, Ace and Clover. There was a door on A deck near the central staircase. People who requested door 2 were 7 and Lotus. This was the door at the bottom deck, and it could be reached by taking the elevator to the bottom of the ship. People who requested door 6 were Santa and June. This was the door on E deck, and it could be reached by taking the elevator near the central staircase down. It took him less than a second to run the numbers. He opened the 7th piece of paper and spoke. Okay, last one's mine. I want to go through... Oh, crap. We have to choose now. And if it's anything like the last... like the last playthrough, it seems like it's going to be like 3 major chances and then maybe the ending. That's what I'm getting, at least. Or maybe if we pick the right one, then we have to go through door 9 as well, so... So I guess we gotta make a choice here. Well, how about this? I'll think about it in the next episode, I'll make my decision, and we'll go through that door, I guess. So, as usual, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time for Let's Play 999. I'll see you guys later.